Hi, Ann. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Cold. That's why I'm all bundled up here. We both just got back from the TCM
Yes.
festival in Hollywood, and yes, the heater was off for the entire week that I was gone, and then I discovered that the thermostat was broken, and that's what I spent my afternoon fooling around with that. And I'm happy to say that I actually got it to go on again, but the house is freezing cold in the meantime. So I will be bundled up until later this evening.
Yeah, and I was definitely very busy today at the day job trying to get sort of like caught up. I had a lot of emails to go through and some other stuff. So I'm kind of happy to be doing this, frankly.
Yeah.
Because because we're doing this right because so tomorrow the Silent Film Festival starts here in San Francisco, and then Thursday you're back down to Palm Springs for Arthur Lyon's Film Festival. So we're kind of this was like our only day to record
Right.
this so that we could kind of keep on track.
Are you going to see Queen Kelly at the festival tomorrow night?
Yes.
So am I. So I will see you there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't. I have not. I don't think Well, I know I haven't seen it on the big screen for sure. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Fantastic. And you're going to, I am thrilled because we're going to talk a little bit about the TCM
Yeah.
festival. If people are wondering, we'll cut to the chase and answer some of those questions that I'm sure people have. They won't have to send them in now because we'll just answer them before they can even ask them. But the way this works. Oh, by the way, I'm Eddie Muller. I'm the
Oh,
founder and I'm the founder and president of the Film Noir Foundation and the host of TCM's Noir Alley. And you are Ann Hawkins, director of communications for the Film Noir Foundation, and regular attendee of said TCM Classic Film Festival. So we are going to talk a little bit about that. But first, I think it's super cool that our what are they? Our listeners or viewers? I don't know. Or
no,
the audience.
the audience. There we go.
Um, I noticed when you sent over the little cheat sheet of what we're going to be talking about tonight, that it included some answers to questions that we had submitted
Yeah,
by our fabulous audience. So why don't you run? Let's run through those first before we get to the questions.
absolutely. Okay. Apple Theaters is not owned by Apple TV. So there's
Okay,
that. The
which
film
is
that
weird, which is kind of weird because you would think that like who's going to name something Apple Theaters if it's not. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. Like,
well
why would you
Ted
choose the name Apple Theaters?
well evidently Ted says that the Apple streaming service has been in like a lawsuit with the theater company getting them to change the name.
Oh, okay.
So that's been an ongoing thing, evidently. And then the film that uses the jeweler's loop device from we talked about last week is the Silver Chalice.
Definitely, if we're doing noir or not, that is definitely not noir.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad we were able to answer that for people who were wondering.
Red Rock West has a Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray release, which is still available. Shout out to Vinegar Syndrome. They have really nice products. I buy
Yeah,
from
they
them
they
quite
do
a
they do
bit.
good stuff.
Yeah. You mentioned, and this is from Mika, who I met at the TCM festival. I was
Ah,
very
very good.
excited. You mentioned that Amazon might start buying theaters. FYI, a few years ago, Amazon did start leasing the Culver Theater Multiplex, which is a stone's throw away from Amazon MGM Studios at the old Selznick lot.
Hmm.
Netflix actually both owns the Egyptian in Hollywood and operates the Bay Theater in the Pacific Palisades, which closed since the fires last year, as well as multiple theaters outside of California.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we've had that talk about how did this all come to pass again that
Yeah.
the producers and distributors are owning the theaters now as well, which was once upon a time the government thought was a very bad idea. But we're
Somehow
not
it's
here to
okay
debate
again.
that. We're not. Yeah, we're not here to debate that at the moment. We'll debate that at some point,
So,
but not
yeah,
not
not
right
right now.
now. Yeah. Okay. So do we want to? Um, Do we want to go right to the questions, or do we want to talk a little bit about the TCM festival?
Let's talk a little bit about the TCM festival. What was your big thrill this year?
Well, I will say this when you're on the production side, the big thrill is getting through it all without any calamities. That is the big thrill, right?
Yeah.
Nobody got hurt. There were no bomb scares. We have had a few of those. We have had live shooter in the
Mm-hmm.
vicinity. We have we did have the unidentified luggage on the street one time that closed everything to stop for a while. So none of that stuff, and no big problems with any of the guests, which was fabulous. I would say that without any question, in terms of the films, the high point was being able to present this restored version of Letty Lynton, the 1932 Joan Crawford film that is now finally available once again after over 90 years where it was off the market. It's back, and that was really, really fun. Were you at that screening?
I was.
The inaugural screening of that? That was pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was great. I was very excited to see it. And it's funny because I won't give away stuff about it, but when it got to the end, and the lights went up, I turned around, and before I could say it, Doug said, "Well, that was certainly pre-code."
Oh yeah.
It's a very, very pre-code film, but
It's kind of the definition of a pre-code film. It's like why pre-code films are special. That was exactly it. But there's a lot of reasons to like that movie, and that was great. And June 30th, it will be available on Blu-ray from the Warner Archive collection. So everybody will know what we're talking about, but you won't get any spoilers out of us because, and I think people should not go look up information about that in advance. Just watch the movie and let it unfold the way it did in 1932, and it's really worth it. I mean, it's pretty racy, and I love in the beginning when this is not anything with the end. This is right at the beginning when the first time you see Joan Crawford in the arms of Nils Astor, who's a great villain in this thing. She says, "I'm just feel like eating lotuses and poppies." And it's such, even, it's code because she's done a lot of drugs down there in South America. She's had a pretty debauched time of it. And I thought that was a really interesting way to indicate that with skirting around the code as it existed, but it was because there was a production code in place in 1932. It's just they didn't really do much to enforce it. It was, it'd be 2 more years and they'd really crack down. But that was pretty cool. And
the costumes by Adrian were just phenomenal. That is some of the most amazing costuming I've ever seen. I mean, definitely if you're into that, you're gonna really love this film because it was impressive. Just gown after gown after gown.
Yeah, and then there was the Letty Lynton gown.
Yeah.
There was one particular one with the big puffy sleeves. And I forgot to say in the introduction to the film, which I did, it was not a solo thing. I did it with George Feltenstein from Warner Brothers and Casey Lalonde, who is Joan Crawford's grandson. And that dress, a reproduction of that dress was sold at Macy's after the film came out, and it sold like 50,000 units of that dress. I mean, it was hugely popular. And the thing is, that wasn't my favorite dress in the movie.
No, I like the first dress, the sequined one with sort of the red kind of wrap part.
Yeah, that has like the interesting black wrap that goes around her. And but man, I'll tell you, all of them were just definitive. I mean, man, and she wore them so well. It was just spectacular. She had the perfect body for those dresses, and just absolutely amazing. That and Clarence Brown is a really good director,
Yeah.
and I love movies from 19, from just right around that era because they're figuring out how to put it all together. Because sound, synchronized sound is still relatively new, so they're figuring out how can we move the camera and how can we do this and do that while trying to live record stuff, and then they end up looping a lot of the dialogue, of course. But it's just so interesting the to see the movies kind of just starting out, and it felt even more so because you're seeing Joan Crawford starting out, and she's becoming Joan Crawford. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I guess this was kind of her first. I mean, yeah, I guess this was was this when she went from being kind of a flapper character to being like
Exactly.
an actress, because before
It,
that she had been like My Dancing Daughters and
right,
that stuff.
right. And like George said in the introduction, only weeks later, Grand Hotel would open, and like that 1-2 punch really made Joan Crawford.
I
Hey,
mean, it feels like honestly, Grand Hotel feels like her film, despite the fact it's like this all-star
right.
cast and all these heavy hitters are in it. I mean, she's the part that I always really remember.
Yep. And I might as well take advantage of this to discuss something that George was not allowed to discuss
All right.
at the festival, because it was so funny, because I said, boy, how are we going to keep this introduction on track and in a relatively short amount of time? Because I know the audience is very impatient to get to the film, right? But I think what happens in these instances is probably, 30 or 40% of the hardcore fans in the audience probably knew the story behind why Letty Lynton was not seen for 90 years. And then once it gets talked up on social media, like this is the hot ticket, oh my God, then people just start clamoring for it without really knowing why.
Mm-hmm.
It's so rare, and the reason was because of a lawsuit where and I guess I can say this because they're not going to come after me. George was in a position where he's told by the company, don't say this stuff. So he's not violating anything. You can find all of this on Wikipedia. So it's not like it's a secret. But the deal was simply that there was a play. I believe it was called Dishonored Lady was the play. And Metro Goldwyn Mayer wanted to make it, and they didn't get the rights to it. So they bought a book, Letty Lynton, that was very, very similar
Uh,
in plot. But then they really just kind of were doing a bait and switch, because they really did the play. It was very,
yeah.
very close.
Yeah.
And then the playwright sued,
Yeah.
and it was determined that Metro Goldwyn Mayer owed them money. And the decision was, I forget exactly what it was, but it was a percentage of the profits. But the plaintiffs were not happy with that. They said, "Thank you, we'll take it all. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
And rather than go through all that litigation and all that hassle, they just withdrew the movie and said, "Then screw it, then." You know, and it's interesting because Hunt Stromberg, who produced that movie, um, 17 years later or something, did make the official, he did a version of the official play, right? And then the whole reason this was 90 years was because um, that was the term of the original play fell into the public domain. It finally
Okay.
on January 21st, 2025, and they were waiting, because
Yeah.
as soon as that happened, I mean, people knew, like George was all over it for decades.
Yeah.
Like, we got to resurrect this, but they couldn't really do it safely until the original play was in the public domain, so that there was no longer a claim of copyright infringement, uh, which we prefer to use instead of the big P word, which nobody's ever supposed to say if they work for a movie studio. You're not supposed to say, but anyway, but that was great. And other than, I mean, I can't pick any other moments because they all involve the guests, and I don't
Mhm.
want to make a favorite
Okay.
out of the guests because they were all terrific.
Yeah.
But man, I hit the jackpot because I I got to do two really really cool panels. One on Hollywood emigres and exiles, about Europeans who fled the Nazis and came to Hollywood and the
Hmm.
effect they had on the business, which was really terrific. I did that with three sensational women: Doris Berger, who worked for Skirball and was the former vice president of like acquisitions or something for the Academy Museum, and Monica Henry, who was Paul Henry's daughter, who talked all about him coming from Europe to get away from the Nazis and obviously becoming this big star, and then being blacklisted in this country. And Isabel Insdorf, who's a fabulous film historian and writer that I've read her stuff for years, and it was a delight to finally meet her. So that was great. And I did a really fun panel about music supervisors and the work that they do. Again, three women, and that was really cool. They showed a bunch of film clips and explained how explained about putting existing music on films. So like Mary Ramos, who does all of Tarantino's movies, and she showed clips from Kill Bill and talked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Django Unchained, and all that stuff. And anyway, that was really, and Maureen Crowe and Julianne Jordan were the other two. That was fun. And then I scored because I got to introduce movies with Dana Delaney, Brooke Adams, Barbara Hershey, and Sharon Stone.
Yeah,
That
that's a
that
pretty
was
good lineup.
that was pretty good, and they were all fabulous, fabulous. Uh, Very smart, very thoughtful, very engaging. Uh, Really, really wonderful. Somebody sneaking up behind you.
Yeah, exactly. I was just checking to see where he was.
Okay, yeah, yeah. We don't
Yeah.
need this. That was a real Calvin look. Like you thought that Hobbes was sneaking up behind you to attack.
It
So
was.
what were your high points of the festival?
Obviously, Letty Linton was a high point. I mean, I love the Ozu documentary, and I kind of want to push this um, on people, and I want to do a little bit of a social media push on it, which I need to do. But TCM is doing like a retrospective Ozu films on the channel. I
Yeah,
really, really, really want you all to watch them. He is a genius. And the documentary that they got was very good. And that's why I went to opening night. But the really, really funny thing was when I was watching the documentary, they interviewed Yoshi Kurosawa, who's a filmmaker I like very much. And he starts to talk about Ozu. And I was like, how did I not realize how influenced he was by Ozu?
oh, I
Like
see.
it
Yeah,
all, like it just something clicked in my head because Yoshi Kurosawa has such a unique style of framing and
hmm,
pacing and all this stuff. And all of a sudden I realized I can't believe I never put that together in my head because he does a lot of kind of genre type film. And so it wasn't, his subject matter is very
is
different.
different, but his approach is very
But his
similar.
approach is really similar. So that was just like so that was great. I really wish that documentary had been better attended. But anyways, I'm hoping I'm really happy and with TCM for putting a spotlight on him on the
It's
channel. And
interesting. Somebody at TCM is a champion of his because they have been really good with his movies, showing them. And I haven't seen the movie. I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary. I did meet the filmmakers. It
yeah,
just in passing, I did encounter them. I think at the opening night party or something. But
yeah,
very much looking forward to seeing that.
yeah. And I really enjoyed Bamboo Blonde. That was
Oh
just
yeah,
really,
our
really
our buddy
fun.
Jeremy
Yeah,
Arnold
Jeremy
introduced
did
that,
it.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I really wanted to make sure, and it was so cute. It was just like, oh, these like little musical things were so great. They don't really do those kind of things anymore. Where it was just really light and fun. And Jane Greer was the bitch in it, so you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
to see her really. She's very beautiful, of course. And then I also, of
Is
course,
that the one where she gets the paint dropped on her? Or
no,
is that no, that
that's
was
something
another one.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's an Anthony Mann one or something that she's in,
Yeah.
and she gets a can of paint dumped over her head or something.
Yeah, and
Anyway.
this one was also Anthony Mann, so it was also like Anthony Mann doing a
Oh,
musical
okay. So
comedy. So we're just like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
this is cool. And then I also, of course, I saw Carol Burnett introduce Strangers on a Train, which was just great. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, so I was reading this Japanese crime novel that your friend James Elroy wrote the introduction for called Out. It was a woman crime writer, and oh my God, it got so grim I had to stop reading it.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I'll try and pick it up later. And what's interesting is I was fine with the part where they're dismembering a body. Like I thought that was fine. But it was just these women's lives are so hard because they're all working at a a lunchbox factory and stuff. But these women aren't, you know, really.
Who wrote this book?
I cannot remember her name off the top of my head.
Is it when you say she's working in a bento box factory? Is it a Japanese
Yeah, it's a
novel?
Japanese
Oh,
novel.
okay,
And
okay,
it was like a
interesting.
big deal, and she became a very big writer in Japan. And she kind of, and it was kind of
So
groundbreaking because it was a
this is
woman
not a
person.
new book. This
No,
is
this is
an
an older
older book
book.
that
No,
Elroy was just touting because yeah,
yeah, and they got him right the introduction
right.
and yeah, oh my God, but it's just like so it's like I can't. So anyway, I downloaded it on my Kindle. I downloaded Strangers on a Train, so I'm rereading that
Okay, very good.
because I
And
haven't
I'm
read it in a
sure
while.
Carol Burnett told the story about being the usherette at the theater on Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing.
That is
It was
priceless.
great.
And
It is.
I'm not going to attempt to retell that story. I'm just going to tell people who are listening that I think if you go to YouTube or something and just type in Carol Burnett Strangers on a Train.
Yeah. And in fact, TCM put the clip of it up of
Exactly.
it. So
Exactly.
and
And
I yeah, and I think I shared that on our face. Maybe I haven't done it
cool.
yet. I will be sharing it on our
Cool.
Facebook page because I meant to, but I think
Because nobody can tell that it's her story and
it's
nobody can tell it any better.
yeah,
And the punchline is just so priceless.
it
It's
is.
just great. So and
Yeah.
I have to say, and the greatest thing about the festival is getting all these stars, right? Carol Burnett came out and Faye Dunaway and,
Yeah.
all those fabulous actresses, Sharon Stone, everybody I just mentioned, and Keith Carradine, who's become a fixture at the festival
Yeah.
now. But they will come out to introduce movies that they're not in,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool. It really shows you who the movie fans are. And I don't know if you saw Sharon's when I did my chat with her before the Misfits,
Yeah.
she introduced the Misfits with me. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
I'm going to tell you, it was solid gold, and I think TCM is just going to put the whole thing up on air
Yeah.
because it was so good, and the ending of that uh, just was so heartfelt, where she said that she's a movie fan just like everybody in the theater, and that she just lived the dream. She came from this small town in Pennsylvania and modeled and everything and then acted. She was obviously introducing the Misfits because she really loved Marilyn Monroe, and obviously you can tell there's a connection
Yeah.
between the two of them, kind of blonde sex symbol. Nobody thought they could really act, but then, oh, surprise, they really can.
Yeah.
And, it was, she was moved to tears in this interview. And the audience gave her a standing ovation when she came out and a standing ovation when she left, and she deserved it. She was really, really great.
Yeah. And I thought Dana Delaney, she also introduced with uh There's
There's
Always
always
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
And I
Yeah.
went to that because I felt like I needed to get really depressed. God, that movie kills me every time I watch it. Oh, yeah, guys haven't seen it. It's Fred McMurray and Barbara Stanwyck, and it's a Douglas Sirk film.
And Joan Bennett's in it
And
too.
Joan Bennett's in it. She's great in it.
Yeah.
And as usual for a Sirk film, children are horrible.
The children are horrible. Yes. but Dana, that's what I see. That's what I mean. Dana
Yeah.
comes out and introduces that movie
Yeah.
because she loves that movie. I think she was responsible for it being shown at the festival.
Oh, thank you, Dana, because I love that film. So I was
Yeah.
really happy to see it, and that boy, that filled up.
Great, great. I'm very
Yeah,
happy
that
to
that
hear
was
that,
they were
you know.
turning people away on that one, which makes me happy. And yeah, I love it when they show Cirque films at the festival because, I mean, I just
And
getting to see his stuff on the big screen is just really a pleasure.
and I'm going to admit that in some cases, you know, we're supposed to do our homework,
Yeah,
right, before we introduce all these movies and everything. And it's like sometimes you get into this zone of like, well, I don't need to do homework for Out of the Past or Phantom Lady or Stranger on the Third Floor, which
yeah,
was really fun. I introduced that with Ernest Dickerson, and he's was his usual terrific self. Uh, but it was funny because I introduced Days of Heaven with Brooke Adams,
yeah.
but when I went into the green room, it's like, wow, there's Tony Shalhoub. Why is Tony Shalhoub in the green room? Because I didn't know that he was married to Brooke Adams, right?
Oh, that's right, he is. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot he is.
So this is the kind of homework that you kind of don't do, you know, and that was funny. She was absolutely fantastic. Just to like she doesn't really act anymore. She paints. You
Yeah,
know, she lives back east. He now is the the acting one in the family,
yeah,
and she paints. But she was just wonderful, and her stories about making that movie were incredible. And I'm hoping that all of this was recorded.
yeah,
Every single thing we do. I was laughing that I expected there to be cameras in my room at the hotel, because you can't make a move without having it all documented,
yeah,
either by the official, you know, ultra HD cameras or by everybody's cell phone or something.
yeah.
It's like I swear to God, I felt like I was in the Truman Show or something. I mean, every single thing I did for a week was on camera. Anyway, so that was that huge success. Every year we happily say that was the best one ever, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I thought the programming was great, and I did pretty good this year in terms of I did three films on Saturday, which really surprised me. I usually don't go to three in one day. It's really hard for me to do that many. I know people there go to five or six a day, but I just can't do that. So I was
Well,
really proud of
our
myself for
friends who I
doing
know are
three.
watching. I know that Doug and Laura
Oh
Green
yeah,
are watching this. And I know Doug told me that Laura actually did 6 movies in one day.
yeah, yeah.
And that's just extraordinary.
Yeah, after there's always tomorrow, she's like, "So where are you off to?" I'm like, I'm back to my hotel." She goes, "Okay, I got to get to my next movie."
Yeah, yeah, that's why. I also did Pal Joey with Tina Sinatra. That was kind of
Oh yeah,
fun.
yeah, I saw that you were going to do
Yeah,
that. Was that fun?
yeah. Tina is a big TCM fan and a big, dare I say, a big fan of mine.
Yeah.
But it was really, really good, and I was very disappointed because I learned on Thursday, the opening day of the festival, that my good buddy Grover Crisp, who was in charge of all the restorations and preservation work at Sony Pictures, which owns the Columbia Archive, so he did this beautiful restoration of Pal Joey. That Thursday was his last day on the job. Uh,
Oh,
Forced retirement, which is abysmal.
yeah.
It's
Uh,
just abysmal. We shared some. We commiserated, shall we say, during the festival, and I will commiserate with him in Palm Springs because I know he'll be there. And anyway, I better stop talking, or
yeah,
I'm gonna say something. So, but Grover was just one
yeah,
of the greats for understanding how to restore films and being so conscientious about it and studying the production notes. And when he restored Dr. Strangelove, he actually went to all the trouble of studying going to the Kubrick archive and studying what his intentions were for the film so that he wasn't changing anything that Kubrick intended.
Mhm.
That's how responsible an artisan he was. And it's going to kind of hurt to not have him guarding that library anymore. Rita Belda, who was his assistant for years, is taking over that spot. And she's fabulous, but it's going to be weird not having Grover around.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. Let's get to some questions.
Let's get to some questions. Okay. Do you want to read it, or do you want me to do it?
I want you to do it. So because
Okay.
I kind of got the gist of it. Now I need, while you're talking, I'm going to start thinking.
Okay. At the recent North City Hollywood a few weeks ago, I was standing in line for the Yellow Canary when I saw Malia Obama leaving the theater with friends after the screening of Anatomy of a Murder. And a few years ago, I briefly chatted with Todd Haynes, Kelly Reichardt, and John Raymond in between films at North City, Portland. In the 20 plus years that you've been doing North City, who are some familiar, notable faces that you were surprised to see in the audience? Who are, yeah, you want to do that one, and then I'll do the rest of the question after.
Well, I think that is kind of, I think he means, right, like people that just show up, not people that I invite.
Who's some of those attended the festival, pleasantly surprised to find out we're fans of film noir, just who are just coming to watch the movies, not your guest.
Well, I have to, of course, start by saying, and this is not a Noir City festival. I mean, in a roundabout way, it maybe is. And I think I mentioned this before, but the only time I have been like, whoa, like jaw drop, was when I was introducing a film at the Cinémathèque Française in Paris, and I noticed that Monica Bellucci was sitting in the fifth row. With unfortunately with her husband Vincent.
With your husband, yeah,
and he's a fairly intimidating guy. So I didn't immediately start chatting with her from the stage, right? But that was pretty cool. You notice her definitely sitting in the movie.
I would think so.
I might as well confess that my screensavers on my laptop, it's all Monica Bellucci.
Oh, really?
They're all pictures of Monica Bellucci, and they rotate. So I have like 15 different photographs of her that just rotate every so often on the laptop screen.
Yeah. Well,
if you go online and look up some of those pictures, there's a few real racy ones that are especially good. So
yeah.
Anyway, but okay. The answer to the question is obviously in Noir City in Hollywood is where most of this happens, right?
Right.
You would expect. And from the beginning, it has attracted directors. So that's where I met Curtis Hanson, just coming to the movies. That's where I first met Joe Dante, just coming to the movies. Quentin has come many times before he owned his own theater. I think the first time he came was, I think we were showing Night Holds Terror, the Andrew Stone movie. And Tarantino is a real Andrew Stone fan. And so he wanted to come and see that on the big screen. That was pretty cool. But the thing is, when you see a celebrity in the audience, it doesn't pay to like stop the show and point them out. They hate you for that because they're trying to just be incognito.
Yeah.
So it has to be a very subtle thing where you kind of acknowledge them without letting anybody else know you're acknowledging them. That was with Todd Haynes in Portland. I definitely recognized him sitting in the audience up there, and I just kind of, and I think I was even talking about Mildred Pierce. So it was very interesting, because he did the newer version of that.
Just a side note on Mildred Pierce, because when I was talking to my friend Sloan, we got onto a conversation, and we're talking about like one of the kind of interesting things about James M. Cain is that he wrote about women. He's like the only hard-boiled author that really wrote good women characters where they were kind of the protagonists and was really, especially working class women and kind of showing their struggles. I don't know why it just popped in my head, but and you just like Hammett or Chandler never would have written a character like Mildred.
Hammett has written a couple of decent women characters,
Yeah,
but Chandler, not so much,
yeah,
not so much. But you are 100% spot on with that, because Kane's books are like 50-50. I mean,
yeah.
if you read Serenade, Juana, the character,
Yeah.
that's a strong character. And Galatea
I
is,
love it. I love that. I told
yeah, I
Sloan
mean,
she
that,
never heard that story. I still want someone to make a movie out of that.
no, of all the Kane books, that's the one that they should make a movie out of.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really great. And we just restored Slightly Scarlet. I mean, that,
Yay!
and Alan is showing it at the Palm Springs Film. That's the first public screening of the restoration.
I'm
Will
so
be at the
bummed
Palm
because I
Springs
really
Film
wanted to go
Festival.
this. Sorry, I really wanted to go this year to Palm Springs, especially him. And he's like playing I Walked with a Zombie, which is like one of my all-time favorite films.
Yeah, yeah.
But the Silent Film Festival came up. So I'm hoping next year, the plan next year is Nathan and I are going to Palm Springs next year. If nothing
I
else
know
comes
it
up.
was. I feel sorry for the Silent Film Festival, and not sorry for them, but it's tricky because all of these festivals come in April or early May. And so it was really weird because I know, having done a lot of work with the Silent Film Festival, that it's like I do Noir City, and then there's a short gap, and then the TCM festival begins. And then this year they said, well, we'll go after all of that. So it moved into May, but then Alan programmed the Arthur Lyons Festival right at the beginning of May. And
Yeah.
they just crossed over with Silent, but I guess everybody felt like there's enough of a divide between those two audiences that
Yeah.
they can't go up against TCM, because there's
Yeah.
too many
Yeah.
hardcore
Yeah.
movie fans who love silent films, and also, like, TCM calls upon some of that talent. The Mont Alto Orchestra will
Yeah.
play both. They play both festivals, so anyway, yeah, it's too bad that and I'm bummed because I can only go to opening night of the silent, and then I'm going down to Palm Springs to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Sorry.
good observation about James M. Cain. Okay, the other people I met, Gina Gershon has been to the festival just on her own. Matt Dillon has come several times to the festival just on his own. I remember meeting Dennis Farina, right, who was ex-cop,
Love
turned
him.
actor from Crime Story and Get Shorty and Out of Sight and all those. He just came. He's a movie fan. The one that's really funny is when um, the children of stars show up, and sometimes they pull the I'm the children of, and I'd like you to introduce me, and blah blah blah. But sometimes they just show up, and I remember showing a couple of Dick Powell movies, and I'm walking through the lobby, and I'm like, "Holy God, Dick Powell's here!" Because his son looks exactly like him, and it was the funniest thing. It's like I really, for a second, thought I was really tripping. Like, am I losing my mind? Am I imagining Dick Powell in the house? Anyway, those are all always amusing. Uh, when they look just like their parents,
Yeah.
and
Well, like Alan Ladd Jr. is another one where it's like uncanny how much he looked
yeah,
like his
he
dad.
does look like his dad. Yeah, absolutely. And but the one that I loved was Charlie Hayden, the jazz bassist. Charlie Hayden came to the festival, and I didn't really recognize him in the audience.
Yeah.
But it was funny because when I was talking, he is the only person ever in the 27-year history of Noir City who raised his hand to ask a question while I was introducing the movie. That was pretty funny, which I'm so glad he did, because I kind of said, "Sir, I'll be happy to answer your question in the lobby, but I don't actually entertain questions while I'm introducing the movie." And so he met me in the lobby later, and when we were talking, it's just like, "Why do I think I know you?" And he goes, "Oh, my name's Charlie, man." And then when I realized, oh, this is Charlie Hayden, it's like I have all the albums, and that was pretty cool.
Um,
There are others, but those ones pop right out, because you just like when you see Matt Dillon, you don't mistake him for anybody else. I mean,
yeah,
Matt Dillon is so ridiculously handsome
yeah,
that it's just like, holy God, you
yeah.
know? Yeah. And of course, the most famous of all was the uninvited Lawrence Tierney, who showed up at the second show I ever did. And we won't go into that
We
story.
won't go into
But
that story.
yeah,
It's on Eddie's website. Go to
you can go to my, yeah,
eddiemuller.com. He's
yeah,
got the story written up.
yeah. The
The
legend of
legend.
that night. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Um,
Okay, so now I will read.
okay.
Bob from San Francisco says, I watched His Kind of Woman the other day. See, this is good, Anne. We're getting more recent, like we're fielding recent questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to, guys, for if you're writing a question relate with the Noir Alley stuff, I'm really trying to get those all in.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense if you wait too long, because then
Right.
it's like, yeah, I showed that 5 years ago on Noir Alley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched His Kind of Woman the other day and found Eddie's contextualization of the film very fascinating. Thank you. The film starts out great and kind of goes off the rails in the end. Yes, it does. You mentioned that Farrow delivered his version of the film and walked away. Do we know anything about how his version of the film played out? Did Farrow ever talk about it? Not that I am aware of that Farrow talked about it, but um, I think you could probably figure that out. I don't think it ended much differently. It's just that they elongated the whole thing, and they boosted Vincent Price's role in the third act at the expense of Jane Russell. So I would have bet you anything that somehow Jane Russell in the original cut, that Jane Russell ends up on the ship with Mitchum at the end, and that it's just all much shorter,
Yeah.
because it's just the Vincent Price takes up like 15 minutes
Yeah.
of the third act, just getting ready to get to the ship,
Yeah.
and leading the charge and all that stuff.
But he's
Uh,
so great.
oh, he's fantastic.
I love
But
him so
but
much
it
in that
is
movie.
it is like two different movies,
Yeah.
and now that I've seen like virtually every film that both Farrow and Fleischer have made, when I first saw the movie, like the first two or three times, um, it's like, well, who did what? But now you can really tell. I mean, the end part. I mean, Fleischer's directing is way more dynamic than John Farrow's directing. That's because John Farrow was on the way down and Dick Fleischer was on the way up. So Fleischer was really shooting it like to prove something, like I can do this, where Farrow, he was punching a clock. He was
Mhm.
clearly punching a clock. And in the first part of the movie, it's really the art direction and the actors and the cinematography that carry the show. There's really nothing that remarkable about Farrow's direction of the thing, because I think he was tired and I think he hated Howard Hughes, and he, let me out. But Fleischer comes in and really kicks it up a notch. It's just that what he was, it's just a different movie. It just feels like a different movie. Anyway.
Why don't you write a book about the making of His Kind of Woman? That's from Blake.
Oh, because it's already, well, you actually skipped a question.
Oh, sorry.
Because there's another,
Oh,
Joel and Moline also had a His Kind of Woman question.
yeah, sorry. After hearing Eddie discuss His Kind of Woman, I reread the chapter and just tell me when to cry. Fleischer's excellent book. Do you guys agree the film directing is about the most complex job there is due to the amount and variety of problems which must be solved?
No, I don't believe that film directing is, I think it just depends on the film. I mean,
Yeah.
film directing is a challenging job, but I don't know how difficult it is. I mean, it also depends on who you are as a person. If you're a director, if
Yeah.
I mean, the guy we're talking about here, Richard Fleischer, he was a problem solver.
Yeah.
I mean, he was known as a director that you give him a difficult task because he'll figure out a way to solve it without wasting your money. That was his total rep in Hollywood. And I'm not going to write a book about the making of His Kind of Woman because Jason Ney, our fabulous contributor to the Noir City magazine, has just written a biography
Oh,
of Richard Fleischer that I wrote the foreword to, and that is out. That is out now. So I would highly recommend it. I mean, I recommend Fleischer's autobiography as well, but of course, Jason will go into far more detail about the films
right.
and be a little more critical and analytical about that stuff, as well as getting all the great backstory that Fleischer has to offer. And I know that Jason talked to Mark Fleischer, Richard's son, who is a good friend and donor to the foundation.
Yeah.
So get them both. Why just pick one?
Yeah, and I think she just quickly on the most most complex job there is. I mean, basically being a director is being a manager. So really anyone that's in management is doing the same thing, And but also, I mean, I think if anything, I think being a film producer in a lot of ways is more challenging in terms of needing to get and also, especially somebody who's like a line producer who's really on the set every day, making sure everything is going along.
Of course,
that's because you've got a lot of pressure in that job,
Exactly, and I mean, you have to be an artist and a manager and a psychologist and all of this stuff at the same time. So yes, it is a big challenge.
Yeah.
But you also get to have, I mean, depending on what your budget is and what your status is in the business, the more established you are, the bigger team you get to work with you, and you delegate a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
Except you're the one that has the final say on everything. How many takes are you going to do? Is this good enough? Are you getting the performance you want? And I think what really separates great directors, I mean, there are visionaries and then there are functionaries, right? But if you have a problem, and by that I just mean either logistically, but more challenging are the people. Like if you get an actor that is not giving you what you want, or they're prima donnas or something, that's where a director earns their money.
Yeah.
Like figuring out how to get the performance they want. You've heard all those stories, like what's the best directed, I could make a case for Chinatown being like the best directed detective story. It is the best directed detective story ever put on film. And Polanski knew exactly what he was doing. I don't think it was a difficult job for him, except for Faye Dunaway. Yeah. I mean, that's where he ran into all of his, that tested him because, she quit a couple of times.
Yeah.
And he had to figure out how to get her to come back because she just didn't really like him, Yeah. The famous story about how they were shooting the bedroom scene and she had a stray hair and he was on the platform above the bed with the camera looking down at him. And he didn't want to waste time. So he just reached down and pulled a stray hair out of her head.
Yeah.
They didn't shoot another frame for like 3 days.
Yeah.
She just blew out of that bed and said, I'm done. I'm out of here. That's where it's difficult.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Where are we?
Where are we?
I think we're at 6. Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to read that one?
Sure. This is Tony from Vermont says, I was wondering if we've had this question before, but this time I'm really prepared to answer it. I'm happy to say. I was wondering if there's such a thing as a noir comedy. The closest I could think of is, guess
His
what? His Kind of
kind of a
Woman.
woman.
While it is more farce than anything, I was coming to the conclusion that the comedy and noir are mutually exclusive genres, but at least I thought I'd pose the question, says Tony from Vermont. Well, the reason the timing is good, Tony, is because at the TCM festival, I had a fellow, I'm going to assume his name is Carl Hickory, Carl J. Hickory, came up to me and handed me an envelope that contained this, which is a list that he made. I guess he made it on IMDb called Film Noir Comedies / Parodies. So I'm not sure if Tony is asking about comedies or spoofs. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
which are two
saying?
different things.
They are two different things. But there are 34 of them listed on this. But here's what kills me. I'm not going to do all 34. I'm going to do
Okay.
like the 10. Okay. My favorite brunette, the Bob Hope movie.
Yeah.
That is clearly a parody of film noir, right? Made in 1947. Then you zoom ahead. There's of course Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, which was made in 82. The Man with Bogart's Face, from 1980. Then they include things like this short, one of the Joe McDoke shorts, So You Want to Be a Detective. That was made in 1948. And it was kind of clearly done because of that was kind of the height of the film noir movement. And they
Yeah.
were, they're going to get a little Joe McDoke's thing out of that. The Blackbird from 1975 with George Siegel playing Sam Spade's, whatever, his son or nephew or something, son. Neil Simon's The Cheap Detective. That's
I love
obviously
that
one.
movie.
Now, here's one that is genuinely a noir comedy. It is Throw Mama from the Train.
Yeah,
Right. I mean,
that is very noir. I mean, it
that's
is.
legitimately a noir
Yeah,
comedy, right? I mean,
yeah.
that's as dark as you can get, right? They're gonna murder this woman, and it's funny as hell. Beat the Devil, the Bogart film, right?
I like that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really noir. It's more like an adventure story or something with a bunch of ne'er-do-wells. It was supposed to be a parody of the Maltese Falcon, right? A bunch of mismatched treasure hunters. This list includes Mrs. Winterbourne, which is a comedic version of Cornell Woolrich's I Married a Dead Man, which was also made as No Man of Her Own with Barbara Stanwyck. Now, here's one from the time Murder, He Says, right, with Fred McMurray and Helen Walker from 1945. That is a comedy that is totally, I mean, it's a comedy that has a noirish atmosphere to it, but it's clearly an out and out comedy. Another parody, Woody Allen's Play It Again, Sam. Here is a really interesting one that made it on this list. The film Hazard, which was made in 1948, and it stars Paulette Goddard, and Fred Clark is in it. It's one of his first movies. That I have shown that once at a Noir City Festival, and it's a pretty good movie. It is completely just a crime story, but it has a lot more comedy in it than was usual for a crime story. And this person is pretty savvy because they included on this list The Good Humor Man.
Yes.
With Jack Carson, which is a favorite film of mine. But it was based on a Roy Huggins crime story that was played straight. But then they got Frank Tashlin to do the adaptation, and Frank Tashlin, wrote cartoons and things, and he just turned it into like a Roadrunner cartoon, keeping the same crime plot that Roy Huggins wrote, but just imagining it all happening to a good humor man played by Jack Carson. It was great. Obviously, there's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and then others are just really parodies. Fatal Instinct, Kill Me Deadly. Now here's a good one: The Woman Chaser, you ever seen The Woman Chaser with Patrick Warburton?
I just
Yeah,
bought a really nice copy of it, actually.
that's a Charles Willeford story that was pretty straight, but the way they played it, and with Patrick Warburton playing the part, he's the if you don't people don't know, he's the guy who on television, he was famous for playing Elaine Bennis's boyfriend on Seinfeld.
He'll always be the Tick to me.
And the Tick, he's the voice of the Tick, and now he does those commercials during the football games where he goes, what is the if you don't remember what the brand is, the commercials aren't effective, but it's like something where he goes, let's raise a glass to whatever, he's got that
that voice. Yeah,
it's his voice is just a parody of, like, self-important guys with big voices, raise a glass. I can't remember what it is now that he raises a glass of, but anyway, there's a whole bunch of these things I'm trying to see. The Corpse came COD. Then there was the Fuller Brush Girl after the Good Humor Man. Now here's, well, obviously the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
They include in here The Man Who Wasn't There, and that is so not a comedy. That's the Coen Brothers movie with Billy Bob Thornton. I have no idea why that would be.
That's a straight out.
It's not a comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a little Coen Brothers
humor in there. Yeah, my father always loved the part the barber. His brother.
Oh yeah, the barber.
He's always, yeah, he was always quoting him.
Yeah, but that's a James M. Cain. That's just a tribute to James M. Cain.
Yeah, it is. I literally knew what the ending was going to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you just hit a certain part. I know exactly how this is ending because this is totally Cain.
Yeah, but it still has a couple of surprises. The ending, just the way they. Well, I'm not gonna spoil it, but that was great. So I think but here's the thing that kills me about that list. There are 34 films on that list, and Unfaithfully Yours is not one of them.
Oh, that would have been mine. That's always that's what I always say whenever we get this question. I'm always like, Unfaithfully Yours.
It would be the top of the list.
Absolutely.
List. And of course, there's also Monsieur Verdoux, the Charlie Chaplin movie, which
is really a good movie. It's really funny.
It's really good, about a serial killer. I mean, it's a comedy about a serial killer.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure a lot of people were laughing when the film came out.
Yeah, I think it was, and it was like Unfaithfully Yours. They were kind of ahead of their time.
Which I've shown those movies back to back on TCM, I think that was my Noir or Not night. I think I showed Blood on the Moon, Unfaithfully Yours, and Monsieur Verdoux in one night. And
fun.
Anyway, okay.
Lightning round.
Oh my God. Okay, let's see if we can actually do this lightning fast for a change.
This is Dennis in Champlain, New York. The off the Nor topic. What's your favorite Bond movie?
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
That's mine too.
Which is weird because George Lazenby is obviously not my favorite Bond.
Yeah, I know, but it's the best film.
But it's the best film, and Diana Rigg is in it. So it's like, come on.
I actually cried. Like I cried during that.
There's a lot of young people watching this probably, and you cannot tell them why you were crying.
I will not tell you why I cried, but I was shocked. And when we went to do on the cable access show I did with my friend Chris, when we did the Bond, like with that one, I just watched when I was rewatching it for our Bond episode. I actually just watched it with the director's commentary off because I didn't want to cry again.
Very good, very good. I understand. Now of the Connery Bonds, I would say From Russia with Love is my favorite of the Sean Connery ones. Although the first the first five are all really, really good. I mean, I don't, those are great. I got to introduce Thunderbolt at the TCM festival. I guess it was last year.
Yeah.
With Luciana Paluzzi in the.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You did that.
That was really fun. She was delightful, and that's one of the few movies that I actually stayed to watch at the festival. Just the way the timing was, I actually got to watch it, and and I really did. I liked Casino Royale. I'm going to say it because you know why?
Mass is in it.
Because Matt
Yeah.
is in it. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Casino Royale?
I don't really, yeah. I mean, I didn't have any interest when it came out. And like, I really, as everyone knows, I really like Mads Mikkelsen. He's one of my favorite actors, but I tend not to watch his English speaking films because they're just stuff that I don't particularly like. I don't really like Bond films and stuff like that. So
He's a really good villain in it.
I'm
He's
sure
really
he
good
is.
villain.
He's really good in everything, but it's just like one of those
And
things.
so you don't watch the Bond films?
No, I haven't watched the Bond films, and I can't even remember the last one I saw in the theater. God, it must be 30 years ago.
And
Yeah,
but the thing that's interesting about the Bond movies is how reflective of the times they are. Whichever time in which they're made, they reflect that time so brilliantly in terms of who the villains are.
yeah.
So I forget whatever the I'm sorry, it's embarrassing. I can't remember what the last Daniel Craig Bond movie was, what it was called, but Rami Malek plays the villain,
Yeah,
and he is clearly Elon Musk. He is
yeah,
clearly Elon Musk in that movie. And that's the villain. The villains are now these tech guys.
yeah,
And honestly, they are Bond villains. I mean, all these
yeah,
guys remind me now, Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and
yeah.
Elon Musk, they're
They're
all Bond
Bond
villains,
villains.
you know? So yeah.
Yeah. This
Okay.
is Lino.
Lino. I saw Lino. I could see him dancing around in the background there. Okay, that was I forgot. It's the lightning round, and I was
Yeah, yeah.
giving
Sorry.
too long an answer.
And he also just noir or not, young man with a horn.
Well, it better be because I'm showing it multiple times this
This
year.
year, yeah. A bullet for joy.
It's not good. I'm just going to say it's just not a good movie. I mean,
I enjoyed it, but I like George Raft.
well, there you go. And Audrey Totter is in it, right?
Audrey Daughter's
But
in it.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the cast is good, but the movie just doesn't
Yeah, it
it
doesn't.
doesn't hold together. It's tired. It's a
Yeah.
tired movie. Okay.
Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
I've shown that as well. Yeah. I mean, it's a heist picture, but it also has a kind of a downer 70s kind of ending. I like that movie very much. Early Michael Cimino.
Yeah.
So I showed it during when we had the Heist Fest. Remember,
That's right, you
everything was
did. Yeah.
heist film. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a good movie.
Okay. How big does a screen have to be to qualify for? I saw it on the big screen. Is there a minimum screen size requirement to host a North City event? And that's from our friend Joe from Suffolk, New York.
That's an interesting question. I mean, the smallest theater that we do a Noir City event in is the Brattle Theater in Boston, where we're going to be in June. I won't be there, but our pal Foster Hirsch will be hosting that. That's pretty intimate. That's
Yeah.
that's like 150 seats or
Oh,
something.
I didn't realize it was that small.
It-
Oh,
it's pretty small. It is the smallest venue that we do it in. And but I would still say that's the big screen. And here's the thing, Joe from Suffolk County. To me, it has less to do with the size of the screen and more to do with seeing the picture in an environment where there are no distractions and you've got a real sound system and you're watching it with other people in a somewhat reverent fashion. That means you've seen it theatrically as opposed to just watching it at home. It's just
yeah.
not the same experience. So it doesn't matter to me if it's an IMAX screen or if it's a screening room with 25 seats in it.
Yeah.
You're getting a concentrated experience watching it properly in a venue as opposed to just watching it on a computer or on TV or on some streaming it.
Bruno is also here now.
Okay, look at that. You've gone. That was a complete blackout. That was complete and utter blackout. And there it is again. Okay.
He likes to
Lino.
do his job. Lino Bruno. David asks, enjoy Noir Alley and ask Eddie, why is Noir Alley the only TC program that is shown twice?
Because I bitched about it being on at 7 a.m. on the West Coast on Sundays. That's why. And so Charlie Tabish very graciously said, well, we'll find you another spot as well. And so they put it on at midnight East Coast time, which made it 9 o'clock on the West Coast on Saturday nights. And it's interesting what the time zone, how that plays into things,
Yeah.
But that it always blows my mind when people on the West Coast tell me they watch on Sunday mornings, because it's like, seriously, you get up at 7 a.m. to watch this? But interestingly, when TCM first decided to do Noir Alley, they really didn't think it was important where the show was programmed, because they expected people to record it.
Yeah.
And or I shouldn't say recorded. That sounds like an old bootlegger talking. They expected people to DVR or whatever which a lot of people do. But what they didn't realize was that it was going to become destination TV.
Yeah.
That people say, "Oh, I wait all week for it." There's just something about the way it stood apart from the other programming on TCM that made people want to watch it when it was airing.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I'll just set a timer and watch it and watch it later. And I do believe that part of that has to do with social media.
Yeah.
Because even though I can't stand the idea of texting with people while the movie is on, I don't understand it at all. But it does create a community. It fosters a community that's somewhat similar to going to a Noir City Film Festival, where you then get to go right out in the lobby and talk to your friends about the movie.
Yeah.
Which is fine by me. I just don't get talking like on the text during the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of, because as you know, I belong to a Colombo group, and, on Sunday nights we watch Colombo together, and, we are in the chat over Zoom. We turn off our cameras and we all start our own copy, and then we chat to each other and stuff. But I've seen all those episodes.
Exactly.
So it doesn't really bother me, because it's like, well, we've seen it.
And I would think that to be in a Colombo club, you've seen all the episodes, right? Haven't most of the people?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think most of us have seen them, and for a lot of us, some of us, we saw them when they originally aired. I've seen all of them a couple times before, and a lot of times too, like if I'm working on the TV listings by the way, in case you don't know, on the filmnoirfoundation.org page, or .com page, if you go, we have a TV listings page where I list all the noirs that play on TCM every month. So as you can imagine, that takes a while to put together. No, sweetheart. Okay. And
as long as he doesn't pull out a cable or something.
Yeah.
But it's so funny when he puts his head right up to the camera. I can't help it. I want to reach out and like scratch his ear, and it's like, oh no, I can't. He's not there.
Sorry, he stepped like unfroze my screen for a second, so I was like worried about that. Anyway, now I forgot what I was saying, so maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe
you were talking about putting up the TV listings.
Oh yeah. So we have the TV listings up there. So anyway, so a lot of times, so that takes me a while, and like I'll just like put Colombo on in the background while I'm doing that, or other stuff. Sometimes it's Val Lewton films or whatever, and because I worked in video stores for so long that it's very like I can have a movie playing in the background and just distract me from what I'm doing. Anyway.
Okay, we're derailing the lightning round. We're derailing the lightning round. Here we go.
And this is our final question of the lightning round. And unfortunately, my cat started typing on my keyboard by accident, so I don't have the name of the person that submitted this question anymore.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. I don't have any of them. I don't see
you don't
lightning
see
round
those.
questions.
It's a
Yeah.
surprise. Yeah. I believe this question is Nor adjacent. So I feel free in asking Mr. Moeller about the expression nursing a drink. It doesn't seem to make sense. Are we trying to make the drink healthy again? Under our care, the drink will inevitably become a former drink, gone from this world, dead. So if we are nursing our drinks, we are certainly doing a bad job. However, I'm willing to listen to other minds in this matter, especially as mine as Nor as yours. So where does that expression come from?
I'm not entirely sure where it comes from, except that uh, I don't know how to get into this or get out of it, but I mean, I always just accepted that to mean you're just doing it slowly.
Yeah.
Maybe the way a baby nurses,
Oh,
instead of, although I'm sure babies can be
pretty
ravenous,
greedy.
you know, but that's what I always assumed it was. I mean, I just assumed that it was, the opposite of gulping a drink, or downing a drink. It's like you're nursing a drink.
Yeah.
I see where he is assuming, he's just looking at it from a slightly different perspective. Like, why would you be nursing the drink
Yeah.
to make the drink healthier? But it's more just like, I'm just taking it slowly. I'm just nursing this drink.
Yeah. Oh,
And yeah, that
okay. So I
that's all I
undid
got on that one.
I did what my cat did, and that question is was from Michael from Arkansas and Spaceship Earth.
Spaceship Earth. Somebody's been watching the crew up in space recently. They were pretty cool. That was a good group of people. Spaceship
Okay.
Earth. Okay.
And here is a long question from our friend Joe from Suffolk County. So he got two in this episode, one
Hey,
lightning, one
Joe always manages. He's competing with Michael from Post Falls, Idaho,
yeah.
for most questions. Yes.
The New York Times has reported that Joy Harmon died on April 14th at 87. Ms. Harmon gained more than her 15 minutes of fame by washing a car for 3 minutes in Cool Hand Luke. She didn't say a word. What performances by actors of any gender had big impacts with few words?
I wanted to read an obituary that said that Joy Harmon died washing her car in the driveway. That woman is the most famous car washer in history, right? And if people haven't seen Cool Hand Luke, they don't know why it was such a big deal. But
Yeah.
let your imagination run wild. You can
Right.
figure it out.
Okay, myself
Um,
detangled here. Yeah.
well, I'm going to say immediately performances by actors that didn't speak. I'm just going to say, in terms of noir, there are two, and it's the same performer.
Okay.
Do you know who this might be?
Uh,
A very well known character actor in noir who has two, who in the 1940s, I think in the same year, played mute characters in two different great noir films. Both movies are really, really good. And he was mute in both of them. I know a lot of people are typing when they're watching this on Facebook, they're typing furiously right now. And what they are typing is Henry Morgan, is what they just typed
oh.
out, because he has no dialogue in The Big Clock, where he is Earl Janoth,
Mm-hmm.
played by Charles Lawton. He's his henchman, who's very menacing in that film. And he's also has no dialogue in Moonrise, where he plays what's his name? Billy Scripture. He plays Billy Scripture in Moonrise. And oh my God, I love that movie, and I love his performance in the film,
Yeah.
because he's simple
Mm-hmm.
in Moonrise. He's just mute in The Big Clock, but he's
Yeah.
very cunning and calculating and sinister in The Big Clock, but he's very, very sympathetic in Moonrise. And he's got several great scenes with Dane Clark in that movie. So
And I
uh,
don't know the name of the actor, but in Ghost Ship, there's a mute character. But what's interesting is he actually narrates the film.
ah
So it's a very interesting thing because he doesn't have any any on-screen dialogue.
But
But he
he's the
tells
narrator.
but he like narrates the story. I mean, and it's not like a
Very
constant voiceover
interesting.
narration, but yeah. And guys, and he was in a couple of Val Lewton films. Like he's one of those people. Like if you see his face, you're like, oh
I've
yeah,
seen Ghost Ship, but I
yeah.
haven't seen it in a while. I know Lawrence Tierney has a great death scene in Ghost Ship. Um, can I'm going to, we're out of the lightning round now, so I'm going to
Okay.
digress for a minute. I learned something so wild from Brooke Adams. You've seen Days of Heaven, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. One of the most distinctive things about both Badlands and Days of Heaven is the narration, right? The voiceover narrations by Sissy Spacek and by Linda Manns in Days of Heaven. He's messing with the camera. It's the wild card element in our show. It's fabulous. But what was interesting is that she said that the original script for Days of Heaven was like this fabulous novelistic thing
Yeah.
with lots and lots of dialogue. She said it was like reading a Thomas Hardy novel or something. And then Malick kept cutting, Terrence Malick, the director, kept cutting dialogue as they went on. And then by the end, it was like, how does this all hold together? And how it held together was that he took Linda Manns to his apartment in New York, showed her sections of the film, put a blanket over her and a microphone, and she just described what was happening in these scenes in her own words.
Yeah.
And that is the voiceover narration in the film.
Wow.
Linda Manns basically wrote the voiceover narration at 15.
Wow.
Right? Instead of being this grown man pretending to write like a 15-year-old girl, he just let the 15-year-old girl do
That's
the
really
narration.
brilliant, though.
Yeah.
That's really brilliant.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And she had that incredibly distinctive voice, which, according to Brooke Adams, was not a put on. That's actually the way
that was
Linda
actually how
Manns
she spoke.
talked. Yeah. Pretty incredible. Anyway, okay, moving right along.
And this is from Brett from Edmonton, Alberta. I think this is right. Yes. Your weekly Noir Alley series on TCM predominantly shows noir films from the classic era, but I have noticed occasional forays into the odd proto-noir before 1940 and smatterings of neo-noir or transitional noir featuring movies made in the early 60s. Are you open to expanding your programming range to incorporate more films from outside what many consider the original classic noir era? Please advise of any plans in the near term or long term.
Good observation, Brett. Yes, I will color outside the lines as much as I possibly can, but I don't want to show. One thing I will never do on Noir Alley is I will not show neo noir films on Noir Alley because I can convince the powers that be to just let me do those separate. Right. Yeah. Like Ben and I did a whole a month of neo-noir films together. Yeah. And I would love to do that again. And I would like that to become like a regular thing.
Yeah.
But I'm putting together the second half of 2026 schedule right now and definitely looking to go outside the lines. I mean, obviously I show foreign noir and I'm contemplating showing some 30s noir on Noir Alley as well. And I do consciously show stuff that people don't always think of as film noir.
Yeah.
Like I showed The Big Street, if you remember that, with Lucille Ball and Henry Fonda, which is not really a film noir, but it fell on Damon Runyon's birthday.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about Damon Runyon and how important he was to American the development of American language and stuff. And so I showed that movie just so I could do the intro and outro. Okay. I'm going to go now.
Yes.
This is Phil in the Boston area. Phil must be in the witness protection program. He doesn't want to tell us exactly where he is. So He says, I'm reading Foster Hirsch's newest book and was intrigued by his description of Storm Warning, a hard-hitting early 50s expose of the Ku Klux Klan starring Doris Day and Ginger Rogers, of all people. Has there... That was a great look in the camera. Has there ever been a stranger casting for a noir movie, which includes Ginger Rogers being whipped by a Klan leader? Have you ever shown this? How did this come about? Uh, yes, I have shown it. I've shown it on TCM. I've shown it on Noir Alley. I've shown it at Noir City Film Festivals. It came about because Warner Brothers in 1950 or 51, I think, uh, returned to its roots as
Yeah.
a socially conscious studio. They had made I am a fugitive from a chain gang and Black Legion and stuff like that um, in the 30s, and so they were doing it again. And it was Richard Brooks's project, very socially conscious writer, and I also think Daniel Fuchs. Scritch, scritch! I want to scritch that little ear. I want to scritch that ear right there. Um, and I think that casting in that film is incredibly inspired. I mean, obvious, and it was really cool because Doris Day was a Ginger Rogers fan, and because Doris Day wanted to be a dancer before she wanted to be a singer, and she was very much a fan of Ginger Rogers, and I think they actually make the most believable sisters
Mm-hmm.
you can imagine in a movie. They actually seem like they are sisters, and I love Ginger Rogers' performance in that film when I don't normally.
Yeah.
I can't stand Ginger Rogers in that Phil Carlson picture she did. Um, I'm blanking on the name of it because I dislike her performance so much in it. Um, tight spot, tight
Tight
spot
spot.
with Edward G. Robinson and Brian Keith. And all I can think of is how great that film would be if Gloria Graham had played that part instead of Ginger Rogers. But she is really good in Storm Warning. Uh, the only thing I don't like about that movie is that Warner Brothers copped out because there are no black characters in the film,
Yeah.
and it's about the Klan, and of course they kill a white reporter at the beginning, which is weak, because and the film is strong, but it's still a cop out. Anyway,
Okay.
that's that one. One more to go.
One more to go. Several American noir movies were set overseas, but how about international noirs that were set in the U.S., as a few of other countries viewed the U.S. at the time?
Um, Jean-Pierre Melville's Two Men in Manhattan.
I didn't even think of
Um,
that.
that's yeah, that's a pretty damn good
Well,
example of
yeah, that's
uh
great. I didn't even
yeah,
think of that.
from like 1957. He came over here, and for somebody that loves American culture and American style as much as Melville, he had a very fresh take on New York and being in New York. I mean, that would make a really interesting double bill with like Sweet Smell of Success or something, because which is also made by a foreigner, right? Sandy McKendrick, who directed that picture, was a Scotsman. He wasn't from the United States, but it's not a foreign film. And also there was a later film, if you want to say neo noir, you can, called The Outside Man with Jean-Louis Trintignant, that was directed, I believe it was directed by Jacques Deray, and I'm pretty sure. And that movie is exactly what Carlton, who asked this question, that's exactly what Carlton is talking about, because it's about a French hitman who comes to LA to pull off this contract. And then he gets thrown in with all these American types. But the film is completely made by French guys, written by French guys. What's his name? Jean. I'm drawing a blank on his name now. He wrote a lot of crime movies. And Roy Scheider is in it, very early Roy Scheider. I think he did it just right around the same time he did The French Connection. And Anne Margaret is in it as well. And The most amazing thing about that movie, which is fun, but it's not good. It's not a good movie.
Yeah.
Ted DeCourcy is in it. Angie
Ah.
Dickinson is in it.
Oh,
But how Anne Margaret stays in the little mini skirt she's wearing in that film. She's got like one dress that she wears through most of the movie. And there's a lot of running. She does a lot of running in that film. And it's like, how they must have like attached this to her somehow, because Anne Margaret running at full speed, there's a lot going on there.
yeah.
And how she stays in that dress, I have no idea. And Roy Scheider is in pretty good shape too, but that movie fails because Jean-Louis Trintignant has to run a lot, and he doesn't run well. He just doesn't. He doesn't run well. He doesn't have a good run. He's not Jean-Paul Belmondo. Jean-Paul Belmondo could run. Alain Delon could run. But Jean-Louis Trintignant, no. It doesn't look like he ever ran in his life before making this movie. And I somehow think that they like got to America and they set this whole thing up. And then Jacques Deray says, action. And he sees Trintignant run and he goes, we're fucked. Sorry, but that's like one of those things that we were talking about, like how hard is a director's job?
Yeah.
How about when you realize that like 40 pages of script call for him to be running at full speed, and then you get there and it's like he can't run. I hope everybody now runs to find the outside man just to see.
No, I'm curious.
Yeah, there's a lot that he can do right. I mean, he's great in The Conformist and all, but
he's a great actor. Yeah,
he is a great
actor.
Not a
great runner.
But not a great runner. No, he's not. Okay, we brought that in for a landing.
We did. We're a little long, but not too much. But we got all that.
But I expected this one to be. I expected this one to be short, but all that TCM stuff pushed us over. And now I have to go eat my dinner. So, which I don't even know what that is yet, but I'm starving. So, I was going to take a bite out of Lino's ear if I didn't get some food pretty soon. But
so you guys got to see both the cats this time.
Pretty good. You're never going to see. Like I said before, you're never going to see our new one. Although it could be a very intense thing if Lino and Bento, that's our new cat, if they actually saw each other on a Zoom call, that'd be pretty interesting because they think they were looking in a mirror. They look identical, right?
That's so
funny. Lino has yellow eyes, like he has kind of yellowy eyes, right?
Yeah, his are more yellowy, and then Bruno's are more blue.
Okay.
Which is kind of why they were and also Bruno's kind of taller and stockier, so that's why he was named after Bruno Kremer, and Lino was
okay. Well, like Lino Ventura was not stocky. I mean, come on.
He was
not as stocky as Bruno Kremer,
but not like Bruno Kremer was. Yeah. Lino had like a wrestler's body.
Yeah.
Bruno has an eater's body.
Perfect. Yeah, Bento has green eyes, very green eyes.
Ooh. So they have kind of 3 different shades of eyes.
I'm wondering if I can show you a picture, and like, oh yeah, that's what he looks like. Here he is. Look at. Why can't I get this picture to come on? See how inept I am with. Oh, because I had pictures selected. I don't want to select them. Just stop that. Okay, forget it. I'm screwing it up. I'll show you next time.
Okay.
I'll show you the picture of Bento next time.
Well, you can email it to me and then I can put it up on the screen for everybody to see.
Oh, okay. But I just put a new operating system in my phone and it changed everything, and now I can't figure out how anything works. So I hate tech, but what are you gonna do? But thanks to tech, we're doing this, so I can't complain too loudly.
Well, I'll have to send Brendan over to you to help you with the new phone.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm gonna call one of those. I could have the Geek Squad living here permanently in my house with all the tech stuff I don't know how to do. Okay, that's that. I'll see you tomorrow night, Ann.
Yes, you will see me tomorrow night. Everybody else, we will hopefully see you in 2 weeks if we can keep our mojo going.
Actually, after I get back from Palm Springs, I'm not going anywhere for a little while.
Well,
and
we'll
then
definitely
we can do another one.
All right, that sounds perfect.
Okay.
And yes, I will be calmer finally too. Okay, everybody.
It was fun. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves.
Me too. And don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, to like and subscribe and share. And if you want to see more of this support our great programming or restoration efforts, you can donate to the Film Noir Foundation at filmnoirfoundation.org. Your money is appreciated and it helps us do things like restore films, but also we do not put commercials into this on YouTube or ask for memberships or donations or anything like that. So just donate directly to us at filmnoirfoundation.org.
Much appreciated. We got a lot of potential projects in the pipeline, so we're putting that money to good use. So thanks, everybody.
Have a good night.
See ya. Bye.